Welcome to RSFFL Live. I'm your co-host Robert Harris, and hey, we're back, guys. Week 10 preview. Hey, first of all, from the RSFFL offices, we want to send out a formal apology that we have not had a show for Week 7, Week 8, or Week 9. We definitely apologize. Myself, and our co-host Quincy Avery would definitely want to let you guys know that hey, we're gonna do our best to make sure it doesn't happen again. And moving forward. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for all your input that you've had with the polls each week, with the questions each week. The league is just getting better and better, and this year is way better than last year in our opinion. And let's keep moving forward on this playoff run. But let's get to our show. First off, as we always do, we want to give a special shout out to our sponsors. This week we have Axe Deodorant. All right. Axe Deodorant is one of our sponsors here. We have Visine, just in case you have any issues with your eyes. I know I wear contacts. Sometimes I wake up, eyes red. Nothing little Visine can't fix. All right. Shout out to our Forbes magazine. All right. They like what we're doing here at RSFFL, and they're looking forward to us having a feature in there pretty soon. All right, in the next couple of years. And also our last sponsor here is going to be Apple. All right, the Apple iPod. All right, get you one of these. All right. Computer goes down like my laptop's down now, hey, you're perfectly good with the Apple laptop. The Apple iPad. All right, get your iPad too. All right, they're all the same. All right, but let's look back. I know you guys been upset. Some guys have been performing well in some weeks and want to see some shout outs. So you got some other teams that haven't been performing so well. You want to see them getting talked about on the show. So let's take a look back. We're gonna definitely look back at the from week 7. All right, let's look at the cellar dwellers and high rolls from week 7. All right, week 7. Let's go to the high flyers. All right, SWAT Kings, man. Hey, I personally wasn't a believer, about a month ago, but hey, I'm definitely a believer in the SWAT Kings. I want to. Week 7, 136 was the high flyer, and we've had another team that's they're knocking on the door. They're peeking in the window here. We got Team Wood Paws. All right, 115 in week 7. And Cellar Dwellers, I know a lot of guys were very happy when this team was finally in the cellar. I definitely was. I was playing on this week, but Albany Pyros, all right, 67 points that week. He had a lot of buys, but hey, he's not the only team that has buys, all right. And then ATL Brady Bunch as well with couldn't break the 80-point barrier, so he had 79. So let's look at week 8, high flyers in week 8. Wham bam, thank you Cam. I mean they're regulars, all right, 125 all aboard. I mean, they're regulars. As you're going to see, and as we've known for the past weeks, I mean, these guys are always here. He had 124 all aboard. Cellar Dwellers, a new regular. All right, he's starting to get a little comfortable in the cellar. I don't know what's going on here, but our past champion, Hen Dog Sooty Smackers, had 51 points. I haven't done my research, but I'm willing to bet that's a RSFFL record as far as lowest points. But Houston Hustlers was definitely challenging them, all right? 57 points that same week. Hen Dog and Houston. Now let's look at week 9. Last week, high flyers, we had all aboard. I mean, Doug Martin, hello. Doug Martin, hello. All right, he had 149, and yours truly, the Coaches Cadets, finally had something positive go with their season, and we went for 140. All right, and then the Cellar Dwellers, like I said, these guys getting real too familiar here in the cellar. Hen Dog, 71 points. At least he got, at least he broke the 70 mark, and then we had Boss of All Bosses. He hadn't been there in a while, but hopefully it was just it was a blip, not a trend. He had 80 points. All right, those are the Cellar Dwellers and high flyers for the last 3 weeks. Things are starting to shape up. Buys are starting to come to the end. I mean, the playoff picture, is starting to shape up. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's look back now at the actual weeks as far as what's happened in the last few weeks. I mean, hey. I would be remiss not to mention ground and pound. I mean, there's been a lot of controversy around the team for the last 3 weeks. He's the only team out of 12 teams that's 3-0. I mean, he's 3-0. He's 7-2 on the season. Number 1 team in the league. As far as the standings go, the playoffs started today. He'd be the number 1 seed. He might not be performing points wise, but hey, like he says, wins and losses, the only thing that matters. So special shout out to Ground and Pound for going 3-0 the last 3 weeks. Another special shout out I want to send out to all aboard. I mean, they're doing their thing. I mean, they're putting up big time numbers. They did lose to Ground and Pound in week 7, but since then, I mean, they're out here to prove a point. They're leading their division as well. SWAT Kings, like we mentioned before, SWAT Kings was 2-1 over the last 3 weeks. I mean, they're just getting it done. I mean, Adrian Peterson, Chris Johnson, I mean, his guys are starting to really, RG3, they're just shaping up. I want to send a special shout out to Wham Bam, thank you Cam. They're 1-2, But man, they've lost some tough games. I mean, they put up 120 in losses, so they're rolling. Don't let that 1-2 deceive you. They're playing some good ball. And the Pyros, not a shout out to the Pyros. They went 1-2, so it's kind of to give the SWAT Kings. They're sneaking up trying to get that division. They're all aboard. They took the division league, and yet they had buys. But like we said earlier, I mean, hey, he's not the only team that has 16 players and they all have one bye week. So they've been 1-2 the last couple of weeks, but he had a strong performance last week. I mean, I have to send a special shout out to the coaches cadets. All right, we finally shown up. I mean, we're 2-1 the last 3 weeks. We lost. We put up 117 in a loss as well. So we like the way we're headed. We have a huge matchup this week, and we'll talk about that later. And then I think the biggest over the last month, the biggest surprise. I don't know if it's a surprise or the team that the biggest story is Team Wood Paws. I mean, he did lose last week, so he was 2-1 over the last 3 weeks. But before that, I mean, he's been won 4 games in a row. It's been kind of quiet. I mean, I think he's just winning, and he's just going on to the next week, and he's snuck in. He's in the playoffs right now. And if you guys remember, he started out, I believe, 1-3, I believe, but he won 4 in a row. And then he lost last week, so he's 5-4 and looking for, like he said last week, he put up like 97 in a loss, in a bad week. So he's saying if that's in a bad week, he likes what's happening. So that's what's happened the last 3 weeks, guys. Once again, I want to apologize for the week to week we weren't there. But let's go ahead and look ahead to this week. We have some pretty decent matchups, but I'm not gonna say this is the biggest week of the year. But I think the matchup of the week, it could be in a good way. It's an interesting matchup. It's not saying like the 2 best teams going, but my matchup, Coaches Cadets with ATL Brady Bunch, and I'm a firm believer that the loser of this game he's not going to be mathematically eliminated, but it's going to be very hard. They're going to be pretty much eliminated from the playoffs, just for the fact that the tiebreaker now is head-to-head. So whoever loses is essentially going to be down 2. This game is really worth 2 games, and that's huge. And both of our teams, we're in the bottom 4 here. We also have the SWAT Kings versus They Say Who That. They Say Who That. We didn't mention them, because they've been 1-2, and They Say Who That is really taking a turn for the worse in the last couple of weeks. And SWAT Kings is rolling. So, but the only thing here, They Say Who That's a big week for them. They're on the pace to be out the playoffs with another loss this week. But SWAT Kings don't have RG3, so maybe that leaves the door open. But, I'm going with SWAT Kings there. We got Ground and Pound versus Boss of All Bosses. According to the ESPN predictions, we got Boss of All Bosses predicted to go for 136. And Ground and Pound only 128. So this looks like it's going to be a very exciting game. Ground and Pound didn't get much from his kicker last night, but, he's just a kicker. So I get all his skill position players ready, and I think this is going to be a very, very good matchup. I'm not going to predict these games, guys. Just going to tell you what the ESPN projections are. We got Hendog, Sushi Smacks, and Wham Bam. Thank you, Cam. I don't think this one's going to be close. And as of last night, 3 players for Hendog, 18 points. Wham Bam's been rolling. According to ESPN, we got Wham Bam 125 and Hendog 90 at this point, after last night. All aboard versus Team Wood Paws. Huge game for Team Wood Paws. See if they can bounce back. All aboard has a few injuries over there. See if he can overcome those injuries. But according to ESPN, they still have him projected to win 114-105. Team Wood has a few injuries as well. Then we got the Albany Pyros and Houston Hustlers. I don't think this one will be close. ESPN 142-89. Cecil Shorts. How does this, the Pyros, they're a very, very great organization. They find the right guys and they put them in place. He went off last night for 19 points. All right, a lot of people might not even heard of him. And then going back, ESPN has our matchup, the Coaches Cadets and the Brady Bunch, locked at 112, man. So that's gonna be one you want to pay attention to. But that's just a look ahead to this week's matchups. Now let's look back to our last poll. Last time we did a poll was actually week 7, so it's through after 6 weeks into the season. And according to the poll, the Albany Pyros were number 1 team in the league for the power rankings. The All Aboard was number 2. Wham Bam Thank You Cam was 3. SWAT Kings was 4, and Ground and Pound was 5. A lot of things have changed. Since then. But honestly, most of those looks like the same 5 teams, but they're in my poll, because I'm just going to give my poll this week, the same 5 teams, but got a lot of switching around here. So that was a look back 3 weeks ago. Now today, according to the commish, this is what I have my poll is. I have all aboard #1 team in the league. I mean, they're 6-2-1. I mean, they are scoring points. I mean, at a very, very, very high rate. Now he does have a Percy Harvin injury that he's going to have to deal with, and but he's leading the league in scoring right now, 1,056 points, and I don't think there's a question that right now he's the best team in the league. #2 team, ground and pound. I mean, he's 7-2. He's won 3 in a row. I mean, he's winning. He's winning. He's winning. The only thing about him, he's not scoring a lot of points to win, but he's winning. In playoff rankings, he's #1 right now. So I got them at #2. Got the Power Rolls at #3. It was a tough decision between him and SWAT. But the Power Rolls, I'm going to live those 2 losses he had. You know, he had a lot of buys, some adversity, a little injury data. So full strength, I think he's the #3 team in the league, and he showed that last week. And then SWAT Kings, I mean, they're just rolling. They're rolling. I'm sure they're going to use this as bulletin board material that we have them #4. But they're looking good out there. Pause at 6-3. And then we got Wham Bam, thank you, Cam, coming in at #5 at 5-4. But like I said, don't let that record deceive you. I mean, they've been putting up a lot of points. They're actually #2 in the league in scoring, and they're #1 in points against. So that's not a team I don't think anybody really wants to play. So now let's look at the playoff outlook. The last thing we'll look at the playoff outlook. And if the playoff started today, like I said, we'll have ground and pound #1 seed. We'll have all aboard #2. All right. We'll have Wham Bam. Excuse me. We'll have the SWAT Kings #3. Albany Power Rolls 4. Wham Bam 5. Team Wood Paul 6. Hen Dog 7. And They Say Who That 8. So looking at that and looking at the trends the last couple of weeks, I don't think those are going to be the 8 teams in the playoffs, me personally. I mean, you got 4 teams. I mean, I think everybody's in it, which is huge. I mean, everybody except the Houston Hustlers is 1 game out of the playoffs. Not everybody's Coaches, Cadets, Balls, Balls, and the Brady Bunch. Us 3 teams, I mean, we have a good week, and then we go back. We have a good week, we go back. You know, who knows? But the key here is They Say Who That is plummeting. They're plummeting. Hen Dog, Sushi Smackers, they're plummeting. And then you never know with the other teams. You got some injuries going on. You know, bye weeks. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, we're 9 weeks in, so this is a very, very crucial last 4 weeks. You know, so only time will tell. I love how there are 8 teams make the playoffs out of 12. Now, I mean, last year went down to the wire, but I think it was probably 6 teams, 7 teams fighting for 4 spots. I mean, right now we have 11 teams fighting for these 8 spots, and I think it just makes the league great. And I'm not going to count the Houston Hustlers out, but they have a tough matchup this week, and I think if they lose this week, they're pretty much done. But maybe they can get a miracle going out there. But guys, you know, good luck this week, everyone except the ATL's Brady Bunch. You know, hope you don't have any injuries, but hey, I don't wish you any good luck, brother. All right. But this is a big week. A lot of matchups. We got a lot of high seeds playing low seeds. Could be some upsets going on. Like I said, the big matchup with the Coach Cadets and the Brady Bunch. The other big matchup was against All Aboard and Team Wood. Pause. Team Wood, here's your test. All right, here's your test. But thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, our apologies for not having the show the last few weeks. We're going to try to get it done for every week here on out. Can't guarantee it, but we're going to do our best to get it done. And we'll sign it off. We'll see you guys next week.